guys, welcome back to EmpoweRN. So excited to have you here. This video is for my new graduates, and if you're not a new graduate, still watch because one day you will be a new graduate nurse. So these tips are taken directly from my book, but don't worry, I've actually included a typed version below. This is what do you bring with you. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly what I always have with me, how, why, and where I have it with me. I'm very strategic as to exactly what I have in my pockets, and I'll tell you why. There's a lot of really good reasons for that, and I'm not going to go over the reason for absolutely everything because that would take forever, but I will go over a few things. The first thing that I want you to know is that on your unit it's going to vary depending on your specialty. But what I want you to do is I want you to notice things that you use repeatedly. If you go through 1,000 alcohol swabs a day, then you need to make sure you have a fresh, ample supply of alcohol swabs in your pocket, and it's best if you keep it in the same area all the time so that you can access it. And if you're out of it, you don't want to be searching through all of your pockets to see if you have any alcohol swabs. If it's not there, you're out, so you just go get more. What I do is I arrange it. In my book it says right here, left shirt pocket, right shirt pocket, in my pants pocket, and in my bag. So the left shirt pocket are things that I use all the time. So these are alcohol swabs, sticky notepads. I don't know how any nurse does not, or I don't know how any nurse lives without sticky notepads. Holy cow. Flushes, gotta have tons of flushes. I keep a few of the wrapped, blunt 18 gauge needles with me, probably 2 or 3. I try to have a few filtered needles with me, maybe 2 or 3. These are things that you might use every now and then. It really just depends on that's manufacturing your materials or the drugs. So some of them use the vials that you have to break, and you have to have a filter needle for that. Telemetry leads, because I'm a tele nurse, so I get calls all the time, hey, your patient's off the monitor, and what I have to do, I have to go all the way down to the room and put them back on the monitor. So on the outside, I have a banana clip, which is like one of those clips that you can put your hair up with, but lately I've been wearing my hair up a lot at work. So, but if you have like really nice hair that doesn't require a lot of maintenance, you can wear it down, and then when you have to put it up really quick, just have a clip and you can just put it up really fast. In my right shirt pocket, I have scissors, I have a highlighter, black dry erase marker, a red dry erase marker, a black Sharpie, mechanical multicolored pencil, 2 mechanical pencils because I love pencils, and 1 pink or turquoise uniball pen, and 2 black mechanical pens, transparent tape, but I'm talking about medical tape, right here, a pen light, and telemetry calipers. So, like I said, I'm a telemetry nurse, so I have to have my calipers with me so that way if I'm that way while I'm doing my strips, I can just make sure the patient's in a satisfactory rhythm. So let me just talk about a few of these things. You always need to have a dry erase marker with you because every morning you're going to go in, and hopefully throughout the day you have things to update the board with, but you want to write your name and your phone number really big so your patient can always get a hold of you. The other thing is a black Sharpie is really important. It's not important until you need it, and then when you need it, it's really important. But there's a lot of things that we need to write on plastic. If you just have that Sharpie, you can just whip it out really quick and just write it. Some things that might be important are, like if you're doing a 24-hour urine collection, I like to write the start date and start time on the container, and I write it other places as well, but it just makes it easy if you have it written multiple places so that there's no mistakes, because half the time you're not the one finishing it if you're starting it. Another thing that I use Sharpies for is when you're doing like an IV start, hopefully you have that little piece of paper that has like the start date and time, but let's just say you're in a rush and somehow that paper's gone, just write really quickly the date and time on there, because you know half the time your patients forget. So just having a Sharpie with you to write on plastic is crucial. Another thing, I have a pulse oximeter. I got my pulse oximeter from, CVS. Now I think they're even cheaper. I think I spent $60 on it. The importance of a pulse oximeter on your job, I cannot tell you enough. And half the time you'll walk into your patient's room and they're like, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And then, you know, you put this on them and they're like 99%. And you're like, okay, I can understand that you're having some difficulty breathing. Your oxygen saturation says 99%, which really is the highest you can get. So if you're feeling short of breath, then, you know, maybe we can put some oxygen on so you can just relax for a little while. But I'm gonna tell you, like 50% of the time when they see that, they're like, oh, okay. And that's it. And they calm down and they feel a lot better. So just having that pulse oximeter is just, it's vital. Every respiratory therapist carries it, and so should every nurse. Another thing that people do not think about is a temporal thermometer. Guys, I would have never thought of carrying around a temporal thermometer if it wasn't for one time I had a patient that I just knew didn't look right. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I was like, something's not right. So I went and got his vitals, and all of his vitals were fine, but I couldn't find a thermometer. And I was working on a unit where I was kind of holding patients, and so it was like me and a tech, and I couldn't leave. And I looked everywhere, I could not find a thermometer. I called a few people, nobody could find a thermometer for me. Finally, I got access to a thermometer. I took the patient's temperature, it was 102.3. So my question to myself, because that was like 30 minutes later, is how safe is that? How safe is it to not know what your patient's vital sign is when you know what you know something's going on? So whenever something like that happens, I try to make sure that that never happens again. That night, I went out and I went to Walmart and I picked up for $40 a temporal thermometer. All you do is go like this, boom, and you have your patient's temperature. So when at all possible, I try to use the equipment that the hospital supplies, because obviously that's equipment that's checked frequently. But if you don't have it, you've got to work with what you've got. So I will do that, because you know what? The attitude that I have is that my patients will be safe. And I think if everybody takes that attitude, all the patients will be safe. The next thing that I do, and I don't carry these with me, but these are in my bag. They're things that I don't use every day, but I always have a pill crusher. You'll find one that you like. Obviously, everyone likes different ones, but it's important to have one because there's a lot of patients that you have to give the medications via NG tube or via PEG, and they have to be crushed, or some people just can't swallow pills. And I do have another pair of scissors, another pair of medical scissors, which I try not to use, and I'll tell you why. Whenever I do dressing changes, hopefully there's already a pair of scissors in the room, and I use those. If worst case scenario, I will use the scissors that are in the bag. I clean them off really carefully. I don't want anything, growing in there, and so I will use those. Guys, I hope you found this helpful. Like I said, everything's listed below for you, and I cannot wait to hear from you again soon. I love you. Bye.